The Starseed Transmissions, an Extraterrestrial Report by Carey. Chapter 1. Singularity of Consciousness. I come from the presence where there is no time but the eternal now. I retain, even in the midst of this relationship, an awareness of this realm and of the universal being that inhabits it. I come with a message that will prove vital to you in these final days of your history. My individual identity comes into being only as I enter the context of my relationship with you. When I'm no longer needed in this capacity, I'll merge back into the being behind all being. There I remain in unity and fulfillment until the next impulse comes to send me on another mission. In the interim, there is no distinction between me and the source. I and others of my kind desire at this time to bring humans in the same level of awareness. I am a focus of collective human consciousness, but at this time you have little conception of what this means. You do not yet suspect what the singularity of collective human consciousness might be. You still draw identity from the present form of your expression. You feel defined and limited by flesh and bones. You are only beginning to comprehend your oneness with other forms of life. For me to tell you, with these limiting definitions you have of yourself, that I represent an element or a focus of your collective consciousness would actually be less accurate than to say that I am extraterrestrial. I meet the criteria of the latter term, and that I do come from outside your planetary field of influence. I bring instructions to your race from the directive organ of galactic being. When you remember your true nature and begin to draw identity from the totality of your being, then it could be stated with all validity that I am an element of your own consciousness. However, at that point, you will no longer perceive me as you do now. When you have awakened to the reality of your true being, you'll perceive me and all my species as being inside yourself. Until then, you perceive me as being outside yourself. There is but the filmiest of screens between your present condition and your true nature. It is our mission to assist you in bridging this gap, to awaken you from sleep, to bring you to the fulfillment of your destiny. The state of consciousness that I represent does not normally verbalize. It is difficult for me to relate what I wish to convey only through the words and concepts with which you are familiar. Your language was designed to facilitate commerce. What we put together with its components can only approximate my meaning. There is another, more ancient language, more conducive to discourse on this level, but you have forgotten it. Its transfer of information is accomplished through the actual projection of living informational units. These units are at once more specific and more inclusive than your words. They have been designed to convey organic information of concise yet comprehensive informational content. Simultaneously with this conceptual communication, you are subliminally receiving this same information through the living language of light, though your preoccupation with words leaves you with no awareness of it at this time. My work will be complete when I have put you in touch once again with this ancient language. When you have learned to allow the silencing of your thoughts and have begun to focus attention on inner vibrational frequencies, you will become aware of a far more comprehensive picture of all that I am now telling you. Until such time as the life-giving information that comes to you from the source of your being is more readily accessible, I will work within the limitations of your linguistic structure and translate as accurately as I am able. Human beings have a tendency to become imprisoned in their concepts. You must remember that words and concepts can be both fallible and misleading. They are not absolutes. Do not confuse them with the realities they present. No statement that I will make can be taken as an absolute statement. This does not mean that I am coming from a vague place. On the contrary, it means that your words are not precise enough to express the levels of vibratory awareness that I am attempting to communicate through them. If we are able to get the totality of our message through to even a few individual cells of your collective body, These few should be able to translate this information into forms of cultural expression that will bring about your awakening far more effectively than our overt manipulations of the historical process. The message that is revealed in these pages is the key that will unlock your own latent informational input systems. We are here to put you in direct contact with the source of all information. Our mission is to bring a pre-fall state of awareness to all human beings who are able to respond, however different they may be, whatever background they may have come from, using whatever conceptual structures seem appropriate. These individuals will then be instructed to translate this awareness into forms of informational exchange appropriate to their respective cultural situations. As this new awareness increasingly filters into everyday levels of human function, and as more and more individual human cells become aware of what is taking place, the change will accelerate exponentially. Eventually, the psychic pressure exerted by a critical mass of humanity will reach levels that are sufficient to tip the scales. At that moment, the rest of humanity will experience an instantaneous transformation of a proportion you cannot now conceive. At that time, the spell which was cast on your race thousands of years ago when you plunged into the worlds of good and evil will be shattered forever. Even now, with the healing influx of new information, the spell is beginning to lift. Even as I speak these words, the materializing force fields of bondage and limitation are beginning to lose their influence on consciousness. During this period of vibrational transformation, each of you will have a variety of roles to play. Each of you will translate the life impulse into patterns appropriate to your environment and express this impulse into your daily living. I'm now blending my consciousness with the cells of your body in order to provide you with some or the more specific information need that I do occasionally relate. But I do this as little as possible. My primary function is to show you how to tap these systems or data retention for yourself. With guidance, you will learn to release your definitions of who you think you are, open yourself up to the experience of a much greater reality than you presently believe possible, and return to a level of consciousness where you will be able to communicate with us, not through cumbersome words and concepts, but directly through communion with all that is. Do you want to know more about extraterrestrials? Do you want a definition of angels? We are you, yourself, in the distant past and the distant future. We are you as you were, would have been, and still are, had you not fallen from your original state of grace. We exist in a parallel universe of non-form, experiencing what you would have experienced had you not become associated with the materializing process. I act in this capacity as a midwife at your birth into form. I am an angel of destiny, a messenger from the stars, but I am also the reflection of your unity before and after matter. I am here to enter your consciousness, here to wake you up. Blending with you now in this communication that is also communion, I can sense a forthcoming period of union. I sense its strange and awesome realities. I feel like an explorer in some vast and uncharted land. Are you aware of the uniqueness of physical reality? I sense both pleasure and pain at my entry into your events. I sense pain at the potential I see wasted and need my own commission to verbalize. But I sense pleasure at what I am experiencing through your senses. But through your senses, channels are, in your exclusive dependence on them, your great limitation. They are also marvelous instruments of perception. They are truly your crowning virtue as well as your tragic flaw. This is the first time that I have had the opportunity to perceive reality in this manner. I've never seen the structure of time and space reduced to such intricate and beautiful patterns. I would look out of your eyes for a while and take in the colors in the room and the trees outside the window, and delight in the curious way you perceive light as illumination. I would love to explore your world in a playful and childlike fashion. I can better understand now how you are deceived. Such a deep realm of awesome forces, the material plane. Yet you will not be able to continue here much longer if we don't get on with the business at hand. Much that I am now seeing will not survive many more years of human ignorance. It is important that we use this time to supply you with the information you need. It is important that we restore you, as the central control mechanism of this planet, to a proper state of function. Perhaps the day will come, after all has been set to right again, when we can spend some time together just enjoying the wonders of creation. I would delight in an opportunity to travel about with you, seeing what you would show me out of your eyes, hearing what you hear with your ears, feeling the touch of earth on the wonderful substance that is at once both sun and stone. But now there is work to be done. We must forge the conceptual tools that will set you free.